She has contributed so much to the field of gifted education and in particular, and excellence in education in general. So welcome Joan Freeman for this keynote speech, and you can start now.
We have to do.
Excuse me. I need to put your microphone. It's just for the recording, okay? Where can I put this? Here?
Yeah.
It's okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, first thing to say is well done to Tessir and to Todd for getting this conference up and running. It was not easy, it was very hard work, and they had some opposition, but they did it. And by your very presence, you are contributing to this conference. Please be ready for patience. I hope it won't happen, but we've been having quite a lot of problems with this all singing, all dancing presentation. And if the computer does not work, I have to act out. Right, thanks. My job in this presentation today is to bring up the idea of the gifted child, or any child, in their own environment, and how the environment affects the growing up of the children. I'm bringing information from two places. The first is my own research, which I have been doing for 34 years, that is following up children, gifted and non-gifted, that I started studying in 1974. My sample are now in their mid-40s, approximately. But the second part, which is visually more interesting, I've taken from my television shows. I've made quite a lot of commercial television, and I thought if you didn't see it, it would be wasted. I've been following up some really unusual gifted children, but each of these children makes a specific point about being gifted. Each of them is strange in a way and very, very gifted. And so I'm starting at the beginning with tiny children and working right through to one of my 40-year-olds. So you can see how the effects of life change the ideas of giftedness and the way the children handle the giftedness. So I've got one thing. I'm also, since I've been doing so much television work, a lot of children have been coming to me as a psychologist for assessment and advice. And I really have been inundated, overwhelmed, completely flooded by little children wanting to come to see me. I have a very long waiting list. These little children are between 2 and 5. I am refusing to take anyone under 2. But many parents approach me with children of 1 or 1.5, and they say, but you must take my Mary because she is working at 2.5-year-old level. Maybe it's true. I don't know. I take some persuading. The first little girl was 2.5 when she came to see me, and I refused again and again, until eventually the mother was so determined I took the child and tested her. And this is Georgia. Her name is Georgia Brown. She's the sweetest, prettiest, beautiful, most beautiful child. And I'm going to show her what she did and why I decided through the tests that she was truly gifted. So this is first request for patience. Keep trying. Essentially. Yeah. When you see Georgia, she just looks like a normal 2-year-old. But when you talk to her, here we are. Can we have some lights off? Oh. And some sound, please.
Can you try and make a shape that looks like that?
We need less. Can we have the light off?
Can you try and make a shape that looks like that? Right. Now then, which one's different? That's it. Yes, that's what she says. Now if I give you these two, can you make the same shape from them? Move them around and make the same shape. That's okay. You did it perfectly and quickly. I think you've done enough.
Could we have the lights off, please? There will be. I'd like to show that one again, actually, when the lights are off. Try this one again. This is Georgia coming to my house, and I'm giving her the intelligence test.
Rabbit is far. That's the one we want.
Just watch how quick she is. She is not 3.
Make a shape that looks like that. Can you try and make a shape that looks like that?
Can we have the lights down?
Right. Now then, which one's different? That's it. What do you call that shape? A rectangle. Yes, that's what she says. Now if I give you these two, can you make the same shape from them? Move them around and make the same shape. That's okay. You did it perfectly and quickly.
Her face. These tests that I'm giving Georgia are part of the Stanford Binet scale. What she was doing there, for instance, you give her 2 triangles, which she's got to put together to make a rectangle. And really, much older children than her can't do it. And you just saw the 2 pieces, put them together, and it was exact. So that's what I used. Now, this is another part of the scale. Part of when you're testing very young children, there is a circle like this. And you simply ask the child to do another circle. Now, at the end of the book, they give you the guidelines by which you mark the child. You see across the top, that's what she would get 1 mark for. And across the bottom, she would not get a mark for. So all this is just revolving round 1 mark. Back to the circle. That's what she's got to do. Look what she did. There was no, remember she's 2.5. No hesitation. Very simple. Did you want a circle? There's a circle. Many other children, much older, can't do that. That's my line. I draw a line, and she's supposed to copy this line. Now here in the manual, you'll see across the top, that's what she could get 1 mark for. And you can see, I mean, number 3, for example, I wouldn't call that a straight line, but still, she would get 1 mark for that. That's my line. Oh, it's George's line. You know, she has total fine motor control and knows exactly what I want. This is another one I gave her. You take a piece of paper and you fold it in 2 and you cut a piece out. And when you ask the child, before you open it, what shape will this be? And thinking, well, she's only 2.5, I said, what shape do you think it will be? And she was a bit quiet. She didn't know what I really meant. So I said, do you think it would be a square? No, she says, it's a rectangle. So in the end, she was over the top of the scale for her age group. And I only measure up to what the scale gives me, which is 170. So there's Georgia, one of the gifted children. Georgia's problem, she lives in a poor district with a lot of immigrants who don't speak English. The action in the school is at a very low level, in her nursery school. She is, of course, frustrated. She could do anything that the other children cannot do. Her local education authority is refusing to move her out of the local education boundaries into a better school. We are fighting very hard. This is one from the commercial show. So, we're on to the next stage. Mikhail is 3.5, I think. 3. We have the lights down.
I wonder if anybody could tell me how many candles they think.
Yeah, we have the lights down.
How many do you think you have? 2. What's that you got in there? You think 4. Do you think Helen? 21. What do you think, Thomas? 31. What do you think, Thomas Payne? 21. What do you think, Daisy? 31. You are right. You just have to clap.
In brief, this boy, aged 3.5, is very heavily tutored by his father. You can press a child all you like, but if the child is not capable of doing it, the child cannot produce what the parent wants. This boy is very bright. This father is very ambitious. If the boy seems to fail in any way, the father's right in there with lessons all day and every day. Lessons in the car, lessons in the home, really heavy pressure. But in this case, he, at 3.5, just has to look at the candles on the cake and he sees immediately 21. But you see, the other children in the class do not see 21. They see 3 or 4. But soon as they hear Mikhail speak, they copy him. So is another child. We're getting older. Chantel is 4.
For any 4-year-old child, the first day at school is a nerve-wracking experience. When your child genius isn't under the spotlight of the media, it's even more difficult. Chantel took her start at St. John's School at Northcourt in her stride.
Okay, that's out. What's up? Look at me.
Those are the photographers speaking. Oh, where's the rest? Oh,
For
maybe
any 4-year-old child, the first day at school is a nerve-wracking nerve-wracking experience. When you're a child genius and under the spotlight of the media, it's even more difficult. But Chantal took her start at St. John's School at Porthcawl in her stride.
Okay.
That's okay.
What's up? Look at me.
No, it's okay. Chantal was then the youngest member of Mensa. She was 4. She again came from a family which, although neither parent was educated beyond the age of 15, were determined that their child should surpass them as much as possible. The whole house was made like a school. She could not wake or sleep or play or do anything without learning the whole time. She was very much loved. She was not just a puppet. But she's in the situation of being a year younger than her fellow pupils. And I put her on the screen to show you just a little bit of the problems of accelerating children, even by 1 year. Many parents ask me about acceleration, and in general, I say avoid it unless you really have to. Because when you accelerate at the age of maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, it's not too much of a problem. But once you are accelerated, you stay accelerated. You don't go down again. And when you are 14, 15, 16, 17, then the troubles begin. Because as a young teenager, with maybe other teenagers in the class who are 2 years older, it can make a big difference to your self-concept. You are smaller. You can't play sport as well because you're 2 years younger. You can't go to a drink, a bar. And when you get to university, 2 years younger, you miss so much, particularly if you're a boy and all the girls are at least 2 years older. And you can't go to the university bar where all the fun takes place. You are excluded from everything. So when you accelerate a child at the age of 5, most people don't think of that. And with my own sample, when I ask them now in their 40s, did you think it was a good idea to be accelerated? Everyone said no. Why did they do that to me? Why did they take away my childhood? I needed that year. I needed that year to grow up, to play. Because if life is so hard, so work-orientated, that you can't take up a musical instrument, you have lost for the rest of your life, even though your mathematics may be at a very high level. This is the sort of thing that can happen to acceleration. I'll explain because Chantal's mother is Scottish and her accent is a bit difficult. The question is, do you put a young child in with the same class at school for sport, or do you put it into the class below? If the child is 5, does it run with 5-year-olds, that is the class below, or 6-year-olds, the class it is actually in? It's an impossible question because it depends on the size and maturity of the child. Here is Chantal running in the school sports day.
At the end of term, Mrs. Rogers says to me, "Can we think about the sports day? Because we weren't sure which class to put Chantal in with. Should she run with the 4-year-old children or should she run with her class?" And the decision was made jointly that she should run with her class.
Okay, next one. Oh, there should be another one.
Longer than that.
Oh, no, it's missed. Sorry, it's missed.
Oh, there it is.
At the end of term, Mrs. Rogers says to me, "Have you thinking about the school stay?" Because we weren't sure which class to put Chantal in. Should she run the 4-year-old children, or should she run her class? And the decision was made jointly that she should run her class.
Okay, next one.
Talking to them, really love their child and want to do that. Absolutely, that's my head. So they made their home, in some respects, like a little primary school, so that she has all those things that she needs to learn with. And I think that when she was not at school, this was perhaps fine. Now that she is at school, perhaps they could ease off on just learning, to develop the creative side of her.
This is Chantal's German learning every single day. She is 4. The whole house is like this. The walls, the child's bedroom, everything. Okay, next thing. Moving on from 4 to 6. Adam is a child who has all these children are about 170 IQ. Adam has an enormous vocabulary. He is completely in charge of himself. Again, very ambitious parents, but a lovely boy. This is part of the same Stanford Binet test. These are the responses he could give to the question, what is a straw? Very simple question. And if he answers in any of these ways, he gets 1 mark. So, what is a straw? You suck it. Many children say that. For orange juice, to blow through. Straw is made what you make a straw house out of. It's a kind of round stick. It's dried grass. It's hay. It's a plant. What chickens lay on. Make chairs like this. Brooms have it. It's a fiber of some sort. It's used for baskets and hats. You tickle people with it. Any of those replies, any one would get him a mark. But this is what he actually did. Oh, God, I missed the film. No, it's before then. Ah, you understood. The next slide. You see, what Adam has done, he brought his magnificent intellect onto this whole idea of a straw, and every question I asked him was the same, and it took a very long time. He understood the laws of physics about the drawing in of air, the suction. He also gave a little extra to say that should a child not be able to control, a small child, not be able to control their intake of liquid. The straw would help them not to make a mess. It is a very high level of thinking from someone who is just 6. Okay, move on. Peter is a boy who is not in school. There is a big movement now for children, gifted children, to be educated at home. This means one parent has to stay at home all the time to educate the child. I hope you will see the mother in this program who says school is a waste of time for a gifted child. She is quite certain. The father is certain, the boy is certain. He wastes his time at school. So, all day long at home, he sits in front of his computer and he learns from his computer. He has no friends. He doesn't like anyone. He says friends can't communicate with him. This is all coming from the parents. They tell him this every day. Not explicitly, but I hope you can see they do tell him. And my advice to them was to get that boy back in school. He is absolutely charming. The other point is that he is a chess fanatic. But the family is very, very poor, really. The father does not work because the father is the teacher to the child, but the father left school at 15. The mother keeps the family going, but they cannot pay for chess lessons. So he goes off to Slovakia, different parts of the world, for big chess competitions, but he can never win because he is up against the Chinese, the Russians, big shots who have chess lessons all day and every day. If he gets a lesson once every 2 weeks, it's amazing, because who is to pay for his chess lessons? And again, the local education authority gives him nothing. He cannot win. It's a terrible situation for him. Okay.
Having been homeschooled for 3 years, chess champion Peter Williams has little contact with other kids. He spends his break time with his dad and his granddad, Peter Senior.
The more I think about it now, I don't actually know what going to school ever gave Peter. I don't know just anything different from any other child. You know, he just doesn't go and sit in a building with people who exactly the same age for 5 or 6 hours a day. That's the only difference, really.
That's his home.
That's
Which one's they torturing?
that one, 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 and all of those on there.
Nothing. This is damaging.
These are children in his own school. He cannot find one friend in the picture.
Slightly better. But children don't matter in the long run.
Children don't matter.
Got to try and interact with adults. No.
Watch his face. He looks at his dad. Children don't matter. Then he looks at his dad. Nothing. Nothing. Okay.
6 months after receiving Professor Freeman's advice to reconsider going back to school, Peter remains at home learning from a computer.
Point number 1.
Yeah, on the top, 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 6 is 12, plus 13.
I have seen Peter 2 years later since this film, and he has joined the local Boy Scouts. He still cannot face school. He went to a very big chess competition and did not do very well. It's heartbreaking. It is really sad to see this boy. And because I feel he will inevitably fail, what is there for him? Only what he's learned on the computer at home. No friends, no proper education. And his parents love him so much. He's a wonderful child. But he has to find something else. Okay. This is one of my own sample. Her name is Jocelyn Lavin, and she is a musician. When she was 10, she went to a specialist school for musical children. From a very simple home, she got a scholarship. When she was in this specialist school, and here is a big problem of specialist schools, she decided, age 16, that she did not want to study music anymore. It happens in music schools, and it happens in other dance schools, specialist schools. But the school was not set up for anything other than music. So what could she do? Fortunately, she found a very nice teacher in the school. And Jocelyn said to the teacher, "I want to study physical astronomy." Oh, that is really serious. And the teacher said, "Yeah, I would like to study that as well." So they did 3 subjects together. They did physics, chemistry, and biology. And she did extremely well. No, she did 6 subjects. She did French, history, and English, I think. And in each of her 6 subjects, she got top marks, and she said she didn't work at all. But none of those subjects was music. She completely blocked against music and would not touch it. I am now revisiting her after a gap of about 10 years to see what has happened to this brilliant, really brilliant girl. Oh.
Joan Freeman was visiting Jocelyn, who was part of her original study.
Is it excitement? Oh yeah, look at it. I think your results at A-level were the highest of the whole of my sample of 210 young people. 6 A's at A-level, which was extremely unusual in those days. It was rare. And to have done it, as you say, without too much stress, without overworking, is even more extraordinary. You've got an enormous ability there.
So just why did Jocelyn fail her degree?
It's a little bit of a problem that I am interested in lots of things because at any given moment there's at least 5 things I want to be doing all at the same time. I find it hard to settle down to work.
Jocelyn found that once she had to study hard to succeed, being gone was lost. Although she may have had the ability, she lacked the motivation to work. Any chance of developing into a future genius was lost.
I want to add to that voiceover because I think that's a much too simple explanation. To my mind, Jocelyn was lost. when she left what she was really good at, when she had this adolescent change of mind, her rebellion against the school, and she went for hard physics, she left behind everything that she loved. And when she got to university, she became leader of the Music Society, and she put on a big show. She did everything. She made the costumes, she rewrote the music, she trained the singers. She made a magnificent performance of what she was really good at. And at the end of her first year examinations, she failed everything. What was she to do? The university knew, this was University of London, that she was very, very clever. And they said, okay, you are very, very clever. You came to us with extremely high marks. We will keep you. But you must give us your trust. We give you our trust. You must work hard and get a good degree. Well, she did not. She played music all the time. She became so involved with the Music Society that when her final examinations came round 3 years later, she failed everything. What was she to do? She went back to her old music school and she became an assistant teacher with no qualifications. Eventually, she went on to teach in a school for mentally handicapped children, and she was teaching music with no qualifications. I do not know exactly where she is now, but it's not in a very good situation. She's lost contact with life, really. She lives alone. She has her own house and a cat. And it's not a very good story. I will be seeing her next Tuesday, and we'll find out. This is really a different story. We're moving up the age range. This boy is gifted without question, but he had a very, very bad home background. A mother who had a different uncle every week, a father who was very, very unpleasant. They lived in a middle-class, perfectly pleasant place. He went to a very good school. He was a nice boy, highly talented. He left school as soon as he could and became a milkman. He said it was good for him. He needed the discipline. He was also, by the age of 19, an alcoholic. He was a drugaholic. He did everything except smoke. This is it. He went to Thailand. He was a milkman for 4 years. He was running around Nottingham, which is a place in the Midlands of England, cold, wet, getting up at 4 in the morning, delivering nourishment to all sorts of other people, but no nourishment for himself. And one day, he picked up a brochure about Thailand, and it promised sun, alcohol, sex, everything a 22-year-old wanted. So he sold everything, his house, gave up his girlfriend, and he went to Thailand. And he has been in Thailand for probably 20 years. He's a gambler. That's how he makes his living. He gambles on the internet. He gambles in gambling houses in Thailand. He goes to Las Vegas, but he cannot go to Las Vegas anymore because he earns so much money. They said if he sets foot in the place, he will be killed instantly. So he stopped going to Las Vegas. He thinks up his own internet scams. I think he is basically honest, but he is on the edges. of strange things that appear on your emails. He makes enough money to live and to keep women. These two he is actually married to. The one at the back he married in Germany, so that's okay. The one at the front is what they call a second wife in Thailand. But this was taken 4 years ago and they have disappeared. They are essentially prostitutes, bar girls, and now he's moved on to some others. He's not very happy, but he is using his intelligence in a way that no school teacher would recommend. Okay, that's it, yeah. This boy was discovered, this man, who's now about 40, was discovered by his mother when he was 2. She said he was musically gifted. The woman, the mother, is uneducated, truly uneducated, very, very dominant. But she decided he would be a musician. That's the right one, just turn it off. God. Next, that's the next one. So she bought him a little violin when he was 2, and she couldn't find him a teacher. She trailed him around from teacher to teacher, and they all said, wait until he's 5. And she said, Mozart was having lessons when he was 2. Why can't my boy have lessons when he's 2? Anyway, she got him teachers at 5, and at 6 he was admitted, highly talented, to the School of Music. He started with the violin, he moved on to, I don't know, trombone, something else, and he was singing in the choir, and his voice broke. He was 13. So he tried to continue with the instruments, but he really loved singing. In the end, he went to the Royal Northern College of Music, he went to the Guildford School of Music in London, he went to many Italian courses in opera singing, he practices 12 hours a day, he has sung solo at La Scala in Milan, he sings solo at the English National Opera, he sings opera day and night. He is a wonderful man. But just to repeat, it is his mother, and only his mother, who made him, in a sense, gifted. And I think we have some music that he's singing. This is it. Beautiful. So those are my selection of children from the hundreds that I have seen, researched, followed up, assessed at home, just to give you an idea of some of the real human beings and the real problems that affect real children who are gifted and talented. And I really, really thank Klaus Klingam. He has saved my life. Thank you.